Have you ever felt like someone needed to control every part of a conversation, of a relationship, of you? You couldn't breathe without them twisting your words, rewriting reality, or making you feel like you were the problem. That's not love. That's domination driven by fear. Welcome to Brainy Narcissist, where we unravel the truth behind narcissistic behavior. And today we're exposing what they don't want you to know. Narcissists aren't strong. They're terrified. Beneath the arrogance, behind the manipulation, lives a fragile ego obsessed with one thing: control. Because the moment they lose control, the illusion shatters. And nothing scares a narcissist more than being powerless. In this video, we're digging into the real reason narcissists dominate everything around them, from relationships to workplaces, and why they can't tolerate emotional independence from others. You'll learn how to recognize their fear, protect your energy, and take your power back without stooping to their level. If you've ever felt stuck in a toxic dynamic or silenced by someone who needed to control you, this video is your first step toward freedom. The deep psychological fear behind every narcissist's need for control. At first glance, narcissists seem powerful, confident, dominant, always in charge. But beneath the surface lies something they desperately try to hide: a deep psychological fear of being exposed, rejected, or abandoned. Let's look at Ryan, someone who appears bold and successful. He takes control in every meeting, makes decisions for his partner, even micromanages small conversations. But why? Because deep down, Ryan is terrified that if he lets others think, feel, or choose for themselves, they'll see his flaws and walk away. Narcissists fear losing control because it means losing the illusion they've built around themselves. Without that control, they feel invisible, unworthy, even worthless. And so they cling to power through manipulation, gaslighting, dominance, anything that helps them stay in charge. What looks like confidence is often just armor, a mask they wear to hide insecurity. Their control isn't strength, it's survival. Understanding this fear doesn't mean excusing their behavior, but it helps you stop internalizing it. When you realize their domination is rooted in fear, not superiority, you begin to reclaim your perspective and your power. Because once you see through the mask, their control starts to lose its grip. And that's when real freedom begins. Why narcissists dominate conversations, relationships, and environments. Ever been in a room with someone who makes everything about them? Every conversation circles back to their success, their pain, their drama. That's no accident. For narcissists, domination isn't just a habit, it's a strategy. Meet Olivia, a classic narcissist in a relationship. Every time her partner shared a thought, she'd interrupt. Every time he voiced a need, she'd flip the narrative. Over time, he stopped speaking up, not because he had nothing to say, but because he felt unheard, unseen, erased. This is how narcissists take over. In conversations, they dominate with endless stories, dramatic reactions, or subtle insults. In relationships, they control decisions, shift blame, and wear down your voice. In groups or work environments, they crave the spotlight, using charm or intimidation to keep all eyes and power on them. Why? Because if they control the narrative, they control the reality. And if they control reality, they feel safe. It's not about connection, it's about control. But here's the truth: the louder they get, the more fragile they truly are. Their need to dominate is just a shield for deep insecurity. Once you recognize this pattern, you can stop playing along. You don't need to fight their control. You just need to step out of their game. How narcissists react when they sense they're losing power. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than the feeling of losing control. And when they sense it's slipping, whether it's your attention, your obedience, or your emotional dependency, they don't stay quiet. They escalate. Take Alex, who was dating a narcissist. The moment he stopped apologizing for things that weren't his fault, the moment he began setting boundaries and saying no, everything changed. The charm disappeared. The compliments turned to cold silence. Then came the guilt trips, anger, even threats. Why? Because the narcissist could feel their power fading. Narcissists react to losing power with what's called narcissistic injury, a deep internal wound to their fragile ego. And when it happens, they lash out. Some become cruel. Others withdraw affection. Some spread lies or try to manipulate people around you to isolate you. They might even flip the script, playing the victim to regain sympathy and control. It's all part of a desperate attempt to pull you back under their influence. But here's the good news. That reaction is proof that your strength is growing. When you start standing in your truth, they panic. Because narcissists can't dominate someone who no longer fears their disapproval. They are ground. Their chaos is just fear in disguise. Control as a survival mechanism inside the narcissist's mind. To truly understand a narcissist, you have to go beyond the surface, beyond the arrogance, the manipulation, the power plays. Because underneath all of that lies a hidden truth. Control is their survival mechanism. Imogen. A child who felt invisible, unloved, or only praised when they performed. Over time, that child learns a dangerous lesson. If I'm not in control, I'm not safe. That's how the narcissistic mindset begins. Control becomes their way of avoiding vulnerability, rejection, and emotional chaos. As adults, narcissists use this control to build a carefully curated identity, one where they are always right, always admired, always in charge. It's not about joy or connection, it's about emotional survival. Inside the narcissist's mind, letting go of control feels like falling into a void. That's why they overreact to criticism, twist stories, and micromanage everything. They're not just trying to win, they're trying to protect the fragile self they've spent years hiding. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does explain it. Once you see control as their shield, not their strength, it becomes easier to stop taking it personally. Their need to dominate isn't about you. It's about the fear they can't admit. In the moment you stop feeding that fear, you take your power back. Why narcissists can't tolerate independence or emotional strength. To a narcissist, your independence isn't just inconvenient, it's threatening. Because the moment you stop needing them, they start losing control. Let's talk about Sarah, who was in a relationship with a narcissist for years. The moment she started going to therapy, setting boundaries, and rebuilding her confidence, her partner changed. He became colder, more critical, and even mocked her progress. Why? Because emotional strength in someone else exposes everything the narcissist fears in themselves. Narcissists thrive on emotional dependency. They want to be the center of your world, the person you turn to, rely on, and seek approval from. If you start thinking for yourself, trusting your intuition, or simply not reacting to their drama, they feel irrelevant. And irrelevance is their greatest fear. They can't stand when you show resilience because it reminds them that they don't own you, that you have a self outside of them, a life, a voice, a light they can't dim. So they'll try to tear it down through guilt, gaslighting, or subtle sabotage, but that only proves one thing: your strength makes them uncomfortable because they can't control it. And in that truth lies your greatest power. Don't shrink it, stand in it. The subtle tactics narcissists use to keep others dependent. Not all narcissistic control looks loud or obvious. In fact, some of the most damaging tactics are subtle, quiet, and disguised as love or concern. Take Daniel, a narcissist in a long-term relationship. He didn't yell or threaten. Instead, he'd say things like, "I just worry you can't handle that on your own," or, "You know I'm the only one who really understands you." At first, it sounded caring, but over time, his partner started doubting herself, her choices, her intuition, even her own voice. That's how narcissists keep people dependent, not by force, but through emotional manipulation. They slowly chip away at your confidence with backhanded compliments, constant doubt, or making you feel guilty for wanting space or independence. They isolate you not by locking you away, but by casting suspicion on your friends and family. They're jealous of us, or they don't get you like I do. They flood you with love, then withdraw it suddenly, training you to crave their approval like oxygen. These tactics are designed to make you forget your power and rely on theirs. But the moment you name the pattern, you start breaking free from it. Because once you realize it's manipulation, not love, you can begin choosing yourself again. What happens when you no longer react to their manipulation? The moment you stop reacting, the game changes, and narcissists hate that. Imagine Jenna, who spent years walking on eggshells around her narcissistic partner. Every time she tried to stand up for herself, it triggered drama, rage, silent treatment, guilt trips. But one day, she did something different. She didn't react. She stayed calm. No explaining, no defending, no emotional response. And that's when he lost it. Narcissists feed on your reaction. It's their fuel, your anger, your tears, your confusion. It all gives them a sense of control. It tells them they still have power over your emotional state. But when you stop reacting, you're telling them without saying a word, you don't control me anymore. At first, they'll escalate. They'll try harder, more guilt, more manipulation, maybe even love bombing to pull you back in. But if you stay centered, detached, and grounded in your truth, their tactics begin to fail. This doesn't mean they'll accept it. They might smear you, play the victim, or try to shame you, but none of it will matter anymore. Because when you stop reacting, you stop participating in their game. And that's when you win. Not by fighting, but by walking away with your peace intact. How to reclaim your power without playing their game. Reclaiming your power doesn't mean outsmarting the narcissist, proving them wrong, or getting revenge. That's still playing their game. True power is quiet, it's calm, it's choosing you without needing to destroy them. Take Malik, who spent years being manipulated by a narcissistic boss. He used to over-explain himself, tiptoe around criticism, and constantly seek approval. But one day, he made a shift. He stopped reacting, he stopped explaining, he stopped chasing, and instead, he started setting firm boundaries and investing his energy in things that fueled his growth, not drained it. That's how you reclaim power, not with rage, but with clarity. You recognize their patterns, detach emotionally, and protect your peace. You stop justifying yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. And most of all, you stop trying to win them over because your worth was never up for debate in the first place. Reclaiming your power is about remembering who you were before they made you doubt it. It's about speaking your truth even if your voice shakes. And it's about walking away, not to hurt them, but to heal you. You don't need to play their game. You already win by refusing to sit at their table. Have you ever taken your power back from a narcissist? Share your story in the comments. What was the turning point that helped you stop playing their game? Your experience might give strength to someone who's still trying to break free. If this video gave you clarity, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another deep insight from Brainy Narcissist. Remember, your peace is your power. Oh, and no one has the right to take that from you.